Thank you. So we've talked about all of our operations with fractions, and we've done a lot of our conversions with fractions. Today I want to take a look now of going that next step, just like I do with whole numbers, where if we have more than one put together. So for example, let's say we have, of course my pen isn't going to work, so we'll try to do this without the pen. Let's say we have something like, that's not going to work at all. Let me try this again. Now we'll make do with this. Yep. Doesn't work near as well as the pen, but we'll see what we can do. Something like that. What do we have to do first? You have to do the multiplication. Very good. We have to do the 2/3 times 1/4. Yeah, that's supposed to be here. I'll do the little X instead. That better. So we have to do the multiplication first. You're correct. So we have to do 2/3 times 1/4. Now what makes this a little bit different than having our order of operations with whole numbers is we might have to pull that out and do the calculation somewhere. We can't necessarily just multiply them together. So we might have to go off to the side and do 2/3 times 1/4. And what can we do with that? Come on. Cross multiply or cross cancel. Which ones? 2 and 4. Very good. 2 and 4 to make this a 1 and a 2. So now we're going to do 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. So now this is 1/2 plus 1/6. So what are we going to do there? Common denominator. Very good. So that's going to be 6. Now last time we did all of our fractions vertically. And if we wanted to, we could write this off to the side and do it vertically, 1/2 plus 1/6 and find our common denominators. But I think we're okay without that. This is 1/6. What's 1/2 going to become? 3/6. 2 times 3, so 1 times 3. Perfect. So we now have 3/6 plus 1/6, which gives us 4/6, or 2/3. Perfect. Okay, let's look at one a little bit trickier than that. Let's find tell me what to do here first. I have to do the parentheses first. Okay, so in the parentheses we have 3 3/8 minus 1 1/2. Or sorry, 1 5/6. I'm sorry. I'm looking ahead of myself here. So we have the 3 3/8 minus 1 5/6. Let's do that. Common denominator is going to be what? 24. Good. I'm just going to stick with the same color. It's too much of a pain to switch right now. So what's this one going to become? 9. And the bottom one? 20. Okay, so we go to subtract. What do we have to do? Got to borrow from the 3 to make it a 2. This is going to become 33. Where's 33 come from? Yeah, we borrowed one whole object, which is 24 pieces. So now 33 minus 20, 13 24s. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. So that is 1 and 13 24ths. So that's what was in the parentheses. We still have the 1 2/5 plus 2 1/4. We've reduced what's in the parentheses to a single number, so we take it out and we put in multiplication. This one's plus, that one's times. What do we do next? Okay. 2 1/4 times 1 13 24ths. So I'm going to make those into improper fractions. This will be how many fourths? 9 times 37/24, right? Then what? When we multiply, remember, we don't need common denominators, but we can cross cancel. The 9 and the 24 can both be divided by 3 to give me 3 and 8. So now I have 3 times 37, which is 111. 4 times 8 is 32, which ends up being 3 and 15 30-seconds. So now we have that plus the 1 2/5. Common denominator is going to be what? This one's a little more difficult, isn't it? A big number? Well, remember, if you're stumped, you can always do what? Multiply them. 5 times 32 is 160. That actually is the smallest one, by the way. So 5 times 32 is 160. 2 times 32 is 64. 132 times 5, so 15 times 5, 75. So now we go ahead and add 64 plus 75 is 139. 160 is. 1 and 3 makes 4. Now, as you can see, these can get really ugly really fast because of those common denominators. When we add and subtract, the size of the denominators just can keep getting larger and larger. 139 is prime. We'll talk about factoring after a couple of days. It'll actually, if you're really stumped on something, it'll help you reduce. Have you guys ever seen divisibility rules for reducing fractions? You know, to tell if something can be divided by 2. It's an even number. What does it mean to be an even number? It ends with 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. So here the 160 can be divided by 2, but the 139 can't. It's not even. You know, if something can be divided by 3, no, it doesn't have to be odd because 6 is divisible by 3. It's the sum of the digits. Let me get you an example here. For example, if we do 7,263. I don't want to end in 3. Let's do this. 69. Looking at this, how can I tell whether this is divisible by 3? Well, I add the digits. I sum up the digits. What's 7 plus 2? 9 plus 6? 15 plus 9 is 24. Is 24 divisible by 3? Yeah, so 7,269 is divisible by 3. So up here, 160, that's 7. That's not divisible by 3. 139, that adds up to 13. That's not divisible by 3 either. So neither one of those is divisible by 3. 4 doesn't really matter because you just divide by 2. 5, anybody know how to tell if you can divide by 5? 0 or 5. 160 is divisible by 5, but 139 isn't. Now, beyond that, there is a rule for 6, but you just divide by 2 and by 3. Everybody know the rule for dividing by 7? It's good, because I don't either. If you can develop a divisibility rule that can tell if a number is divisible by 7 and turn it in for extra credit, I will give you an A for the course. Dead serious. Has to work on every number. And then you'll probably never see me again because I'll publish it and get rich. They've been looking for one for like 200 years now. Beyond that, really, you don't need any. Like 8s, you can just divide by 2 3 times. You can divide out the 8s. 9s, same thing, divide by 3s. 10s, of course, are just, and then 0. There are rules for like 11, 13, 17. Unfortunately, they have to be so complex, it's just easy just to divide it and see if it works. Let me give you one more example here, and then I'll give you some homework to work on. we got 5 6 plus 3/8 over 1.5 minus 2/3. Okay, just like with whole numbers, we have to do the top first. What do we have to do up there? Common denominator. Good. What's that common denominator going to be? 24. What's this one going to be? 20, right? How about this one? 9. So that's 29 24ths, or 1 and 5 24ths. So I'm just going to write that up front here. 1 and 5 24ths. Now on the bottom, 1 and 2/3, or sorry, 1.5 minus 2/3. Once again, we need common denominator, which is going to be 6. So 1 and 3/6 minus 4/6. What's the problem we run into there? We got to borrow, right? How many 6 is this going to become? 9. So 9 minus 4 is 5 6. So now we have 1 and 5 24ths divided by 5 6. A lot of people get really confused when they see it like this as a fraction within a fraction, but remember, a fraction is just a division problem. You can think of it as division. So do we need a common denominator? No. But we do need to make this into what? Improper. So this is going to be, that's supposed to be 2/5, isn't it? Not 5/2. 5 24ths. Okay, good. So this is going to be 29 over 24. Thank you. We're going to flip this to make it 6/5, so it's multiplication. Then what? Cross cancel the 24 and the 6. Give me 1 and 4. So we got 29 over 20, which is 1 and 9 20ths. What do you think? Better than a sharp stick in the eye? Okay. Let's get you guys started on some homework. This is in the big book. In the big book, page 74 through 75. It'll be 1 through 25, the odds. And then in the little book, it's going to be unit 10, the odds.